Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. This week's portion is that of Shoftim, and we are now officially in the month of Elul, month of preparation to bring us and enable us to be properly prepared for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Says, Kiseitze la milchama alevecha. When you go out to the war against your enemies, V'ra'isa susvarecha, and you see horses and chariots, Amrav mimcha, a nation which is far greater than you are. Loisira mehem, do not be afraid of them. Ki Hashem Elokecha imach, for the Lord your God is with you, Hama'alcha, who has elevated you, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, from the land of Egypt. The Or HaChaim has many questions. First, why does it say Kiseitze la milchama? Elsewhere it says Kiseitze lehilochim, should you go out to war. Here, la milchama means the war. Should you go out to the war? What war is that? And it tells us Alevecha, you're going to the war against your enemy. Well, isn't that obvious? Who else are we going to war with? It doesn't have to say your enemy. And then it says, and should you see horses and chariots, you see all of the weapons that your enemy has. Why is it necessary to say that? All it needed to say is that, and you see Amrav Mimcha, you see a nation which is far greater than you are, greater in number, greater in skill, greater in weapons. What is being emphasized by saying you see their horse and their chariot? And the fourth question, which he touches upon, is all over it always says, I am the Lord your God, Asher hoitzei sicha, I took you out of the land of Egypt. Here it doesn't say hoitzei sicha, here it says hama'alcha, ma'al from the word aliyah. I have elevated you from the land of Egypt. What does that mean? The Or HaChaim learns that, yes, the verses are talking about when we go to war, and then the Kohen comes, and he tells us we should not be afraid or concerned. And the Shoftim, the judges, say if there's someone who has a faint heart or who has built a home and not yet lived in it, planted a vineyard, had not yet redeemed it, or betrothed a woman, not yet married her, you're exempt. Yes, it's talking about a regular war, but it's also referring to the great war, the eternal war, the war that every human being must engage. Kiseitze, when you go out, la milchama, to the war. What war is that? Alevecha, against your enemy. Who is the enemy of mankind? This is the Satan, the evil inclination, the angel of death. This is the angel appointed by God whose mission it is to challenge man, to place obstacles before man, to cause us to stumble, to weaken, and to sin. When we have this constant war, the struggle, in which we must try to overcome this enemy, and we see his horses and we see his chariots. What does that mean? We see his horses, his powerful, his mount, how elevated and high he is and strong he is. And we see also his chariots. What does this refer to? It refers to the fact that we realize I have to engage in battle against my evil inclination, the Satan, an angel who is far more powerful than I am, and his cunning is greater. He has all the tools necessary. He knows my weaknesses. He knows what buttons to push. I should go to war against this enemy, the war. And not only that, He is an Amrav. He is a nation. He is greater, mimeni. Mimeni can mean greater than you, or it could mean he is greater from you. What does that mean? It means that every time mankind sins, we embolden and we strengthen our evil inclination. With every sin, it's like if we get a cut, and here is the evil inclination, which is like a bacteria, and it infects us. And the larger the opening is, the greater the infection, the deeper it gets, and the deeper it gets, and the more harm it can cause. When we recognize that we are confronted and we are challenged, and it is our mission that we struggle in the war against this great enemy who is so skilled and so powerful and so clever, and he even gathers his strength from us. The Torah says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid? How could I possibly not be afraid? On this, the Torah says, because the Lord your God is with you. If we had to fight by ourselves, no contest. We couldn't even get in the ring. It's over before it begins. But we're not fighting. Hashem Elokecha imach. Yes, we have to apply ourselves, but we must recognize that we can be victorious because Hashem is with us. One proof? He elevated you. He lifted you from the land of Egypt. What does that mean? The land of Egypt, we had fallen to the 49th level of impurity. We sunk so low, in which we were immersed in the idolatry, the culture of Egypt. We were assimilated. It penetrated, it seeped in within our minds and our behavior. We didn't even know the difference. We couldn't even identify ourselves properly as Jews. And nevertheless, Hashem came and he elevated. We were sinking, we were drowning, we were caught in the quicksand of the impurity and contamination of Egypt. And God, with his outstretched arm and strong hand, took hold of us and he elevated, he pulled us out from this impurity. And Hashem says, should we find ourselves again in such a circumstance in which we are drowning and being pulled down like a riptide, and there's nothing we can do, we should remember that Hashem will be with us and he will pull us out and rescue us. But this is if we remember and recognize. If we think that, oh, life is great and I'm fine and I don't have to be concerned, we're sinking. And if we think and say, you know what, I am sinking, but I can do this, well, we should say, yes, I can do it, but not by myself. We have to reach out to Hashem and say, Hashem, I turn to you, for only with your guidance and your strength can I endure the onslaught of all that the evil inclination and Satan thrusts upon me. I need your help. And with your help, Hashem, yes, I will be able to do it. Habal Taher, one who comes to purify, Messiah Nisai. God will help him and enable him. But first we must realize we must be the ones who choose to come to purify. What does that mean? It means that I recognize that I'm impure and I'm sinking. If I realize that I'm sinking, I can say, help me, I'm reaching out. Then Hashem will reach for us and bring us out as he did in Egypt. This is a timely message, and this is a message for each and every one of us in every generation, and especially today, when the impurity and the contamination of thought is so overwhelming that people cannot define the simplest truths. Our responsibility, especially now, Elul, recognize we're sinking. Hashem, I'm reaching out to you. Help me. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay Jewish. Have a wonderful Shabbos.